Unless he turns around, it's kind of neat. Yeah. Interesting area.
Well, greetings to my fellow electric football coaches, as well as to the YouTube viewers dropping by. Thank you very much. This video is going to be the first of what I hope will be an ongoing series of tutorial type videos where I'm going to take a look at some of the many fascinating aspects of this fun and enjoyable hobby. The main target audience here is going to be the newcomer, the newbie to the game, and also perhaps the silent spectator who's curious enough to want to learn more. Vince Lombardi, greatest coach ever, a legend. Anyways, what you see displayed here is a few of my scale fields that I've built. They're referred to as scale fields in the hobby simply because they're scaled to the size of the player's figure themselves. Take a typical NFL size field. The dimensions would be 60 inches long by about 26.5 inches wide. And that's just referring to the green playing area itself. And yes, I will be doing a in-depth video on how I go about constructing one of these game boards, such as these. And no, it's not hard to achieve. Like anything else, with a bit of patience, perseverance, and a little bit of knowledge, results like these are achievable.
Just make his own boot.
Well, the best performing and most common surface board material that most guys use is the galvanized sheet metal, like you see being used here. But also show you an alternative material that performs almost as well, is cheaper, easier to work with, and makes for a considerably lighter board when finished. I'll also show you a simple and cheap way to wire the electrical so you can have two remote switches, one for each coach rather than just the usual one. I'll also go over many of the different types of wood you can use, recommendations, and including a super tough wood surface that requires no finishing or painting at all to achieve. Also show you a fastener method for building the frame that shows no screw holes that will be visible from the outside. Well, we'll go through the various motor selection options, including a dirt cheap motor that's not much bigger than your thumb, but will power even the big scale fields like these ones with no problem. Also have guidelines on at least 3 different power pack sources you can use to power your board. And of course installation tips for field covers like I'm doing here. Well, this is my latest scale field building project. Not really a Steelers fan, but I certainly have a high degree of respect for that team and its fans. I know this is probably dating myself, but I remember watching as a kid the 70s era Steel Curtain Dynasty team, and quite possibly that was probably the greatest team ever fielded on the NFL. I haven't played a game yet on this field. I still have to paint up my Steelers team. I do think that scrimmaging a Packers-Bears game as a first game on this field would be sacrilegious. Now, not all my proposed videos in this series will be of the do-it-yourselfer category. Some are going to be of the news type variety. Now, the final half of this video is going to be about the Solitaire League I just joined up with for the coaches. So it's a Solitaire League with a new and different twist. The whole idea behind this league was developed by the coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Coach Manta Ray Dre. Well, as with many great ideas and concepts developed in and for electric football, or sometimes referred to as miniature football, they all take root here, the Miniature Football Coaches Association website. Of course, many of you watching this video are already aware of all this, so I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but for the unaware newcomer, the heart and soul of the MFCA lies here in the forums section. And as you can see displayed here, there's a lot of content, a whole wealth of information, all to do with electric football. It's all been archived and it's being added to on a daily basis. Well, you know, I think I just came up with a new topic for a future video. I think we're going to revisit the MFCA site here and take an in-depth tour of the whole site, and especially the forum section, and show what it has to offer the newcomer to the game. Well, but for right now, we're going to visit the Solitaire forum section. I have to briefly touch on this pinned thread at the top of the Solitaire section. The Solitaire Coaches Points Challenge is a points-based ranking system. Basically what you do is you register your Solitaire League and the individual teams onto the on-site database, and then you send in the results of your individual games, and you earn points on several different parameters. I believe there's 4 different divisions too, based on weight of the players and whether they're tweaked and untweaked. I know I'm making it sound a little more complicated than it actually is, and the goal is to become a national SCPC champion. I think the season runs from September 1st to June 30th, and it's a whole lot of fun and something worth looking into. Moving on, here is one of the many threads on the Plastic Men Football League, started by Manta Ray Dre. You know, you can often pick up on a person's personality just by reading their post, even though you've never met them or even spoken to them in person. Manta Ray Dre here always comes across as a very positive guy, forward thinker, and a real staunch supporter of the solitaire aspect to electric football. I guess it can't hurt to stroke up the commissioner's ego. But seriously, it's not hard not to be enthusiastic about being part of a new venture in this hobby, like this league, and the guy heading it has so much enthusiasm for the game. Well, the basic premise of the league is each coach selects one NFL team. Most naturally, they're going to select their favorite one. There's no duplicate selections allowed, so it's a first-come, first-choice basis. And every team then plays a 10-game season against opposition, consisting of whatever other teams each coach has in their collection or possession. It could be with only 2 teams or 10 different teams. Each coach plays a schedule that fits their own time schedule, and they play in the comfort of their own home and on their own field, of course, and perhaps most importantly, with their own rule set. People who participate in leagues often do not fully agree with the rules that govern the gameplay style in the league. Well, with this Solitaire League, that is not going to be an issue. Now displayed here is some of the individual coaches' placards made by Manta Ray Dre. I have to make mention of one particular individual in this league. Coach Dizzy is the youngest member, and his enthusiasm and effort he's put into his Washington Redskins and his season start is just off the chains awesome. You know, one of the biggest present day concerns about electric football is the majority of its participants these days are guys like me who play the game as kids and now as old farts are reliving their second childhood. But in order for the game to survive and continue on into the future, the hobby needs youngsters to come on board. We need more Coach Dizzies in the game. As a kid playing this game, I seem to remember it didn't work all that well. I think I put it back in the closet and broke out the table hockey game, being a Canadian. Tweaking had no clue. But the game now, with its 21st century innovations, I think has a lot more to offer today's youth than it did back then. Anyways, take a look-see at this game summary that Coach Dizzy wrote up for his first league contest. There's going to be a brief highlights package towards the tail end of this video on some of the early Plastic Men Football League games, and Coach Dizzy in his summary is going to be the featured game. He supplied a whole bunch of pictures of his game day action, so 2 big thumbs up here for doing that. He set an example for the rest of us to follow. Well, this is the leaguelineup.com website. It's a free site to use for anyone with a sports type league. As you can see, Manta Ray Dre has set this up for us. This is where the standings and all the relative stats are going to be recorded and displayed. Everyone's been encouraged to keep game day stats to do with their particular team. And you have rosters here. And each coach can enter their complete roster. And this could be a current team roster, or it could be an all-time all-star squad. As you take a look at the Houston Texans squad here, Coach Slegro. Each coach can also enter and update his individual player stats. It should be mentioned that even though the league has already started play, for the most part we've only one game in. So there's still time and certainly plenty of space for new Solitaire coaches to come on board. In fact, there's another 27 teams, and even some of the more popular teams like the Dallas Cowboys are open for up for grabs. And you could probably contact Manta Ray Dre through the forum messaging system for the latest info. This site covers everything, game results and overall standings and even schedules. Here's my Packers schedule. I was fortunate enough to have built fields for the Vikings, Eagles, and Steelers, so it'll be 5 games at Lambeau, and the rest of the schedule will be on the road. Here are some of the game day results already posted up by the guys. I'll have a YouTube video uploaded sometime this week of the entire Packers home opener against the Raiders. So once that's done, I'll post the score here as well. The current standings. Alright, on to some game day highlights. The following is Coach Dizzy's own words describing his game. The Steelers dominated the Redskins in this blowout game. It started out as a close game as it was only 10-7 at halftime. The Steelers came out aggressive while the Skins came out flat and got manhandled in the second half. This loss is really going to hurt the Redskins in their chances of winning the Plastic Men EFL League. For my NATC EFL League, all-time league, the Steelers are predicted to win the Super Bowl, and rightfully so, as they are just oozing with talent, heart, and sheer dominance across the board. The Redskins, who are a 9-7 projected team, are not bad, but this shows just how dominant the Steelers are. Sonny Jurgensen missed 2 wide-open key passes to Charlie Taylor in clutch time, and his technique was off. My finger was too close to the ball in the TTQB. But he fixed his technique later, but it was too late. Jerome Bettis has emerged as the workhorse of the running backs, while Franco Harris did his damage in the passing game. John Riggins, an MVP candidate, was disappointing with only 3 yards on 4 carries. The Hogs blocked very well and also very badly. They needed more consistency, as evidenced by Sonny Jurgensen's rushing. When you see the pictures, you could have driven 2 trucks through the hole that was made. Yet they also did awful when Reagan ran. Charlie Taylor burned Ron Whitson constantly, but Mel Blunt completely wiped out Art Monk. Special teams was huge as Hines Ward's 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown shifted the momentum. That was a very well done write-up summary, Coach. The only thing I might add is don't beat too hard on your Redskins for losing the first game. There's still a long ways to go in the season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers faced the Chicago Bears as their opposition in their home opener. Heading into the fourth quarter, the Buccaneers were up 21-19 on the Bears in a very close game. The Bucs D, however, was having a real tough time dealing with the running game of the Bears, particularly number 32 was doing most of the damage. The Bears, however, had missed 2 extra points, and which could have proved costly. However, on the last play of the game, Jameis Winston threw an interception, ending the Bucs' comeback bid. Some of the notable individual stats for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anthony Davis had 6 rushes for 118 yards and 1 TD. Rydell Anthony had 3 catches for 73 yards and also 1 TD. And Jameis Winston was 7 of 11 for 138 yards and 1 TD, but unfortunately he had that 1 interception at the end of the game. Tampa Bay will have an opportunity for revenge as their next game on the schedule is those same Chicago Bears. Coach Sanford had the distinction of completing the first ever game in the league, as the Chicago Bears totally dominated the New Orleans Saints in a 35-3 blowout. Personal performances: Jay Cutler was 8 of 11 for 184 yards and 2 TDs. Neil Anderson had 12 carries for 121 yards and 1 TD, and Martellus Bennett had 4 catches for 142 yards, 1 TD, and his longest catch was for 70 yards. Coach Slegro and his Houston Texans have played the most games in the Plastic Men Football League. First up, they beat the Washington Redskins 21-14 in a close contest, followed by a loss to the Green Bay Packers 21-3. Over those two games, an outstanding personal performance by the Texan was by Arian Foster with 27 carries for 218 yards, 2 TDs, and an 8.1 yard average. Well, that's going to bring us to the conclusion of the introduction to the tutorial series, as well as the rundown on the classic Solitaire Plastic Men Football League. Next video up will be the Packers versus Raiders.